Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
You think about this for a second. Video and photography content is huge now. It's been huge for the last 3-4 years. Think about every time you're online, social media, anywhere. What do you got? It's video, it's photos. So if you've got a business, critical to make sure you've got that conquered. But even if you're working in other capacities, it's so impactful, especially aerial shots, drone shots, and more. He does that and does it very well. We're going to talk with the man who is behind the Mile Fly Club aerials, and he is Tim Estey. He's back with us. Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, we're gonna look at some pretty cool stuff today. Part of that is real estate connected because that's part of what you offer in helping real estate agents show the properties to their fullest potential. Before we get to that, in a moment, we're going to look at a video, and this involves an amusement park. Tell us about this.
Okay, so it was actually perfect because my daughter just turned 4, and we've been here about a year and a half, so I haven't done this, but I reached out to them months ago because I love this place. Like in another video that you saw, I did. This is the Old Orchard Pier at Old Orchard Beach. I flew under that, but I didn't want to take pictures of the park because it's could be private property or whatever. And so I just reached out to them, like kind of like a shot in the dark, and we planned to do it this way. They actually wanted me to capture some fireworks, which is what this video is of their first fireworks of the season, and it was great. I mean, everything has its own perks, but because I said, well, I got a 4-year-old who would love to go on, the kiddie rides and stuff like that, and it was her birthday, they threw in 2 day passes. As well as I, of course, got paid for doing what I was doing. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty sweet.
Wow. And now I remember this video in your background here. The pier, you fly under that. I think it's like a clip reel that's on your website, right?
Yes, it was just a little snippet of it. But I wanted to, of course, get more of the park. But they actually wanted me to wait until the end of June for the fireworks specifically. They wanted it to get, to be busy. They also wanted me to feature a couple of their newer rides, so I did those separately. But this one got within a couple of days over 10,000 views already. So it's fun. So I love. I'll show you more, but I recently did a car show at a food truck festival. That came out pretty cool. So but these are another ones, kind of like the Hampton Beach, the sandcastle sculpture that I did.
Sure.
They've had a lot of people wanting to do drone stuff, but they haven't had someone do like fireworks or capture these rides. They have a lot of stuff like from the ground, like just anybody with the camera, but nothing really aerial to this, like, I would say quality, a little biased, but pretty good quality. So they were super excited, and I was definitely excited to do this and do what I do.
Well, let's take a look at that. It's about just about a minute long, and I'm looking forward to seeing fireworks, I guess, from the air. super cool.
Mhm.
And I didn't know that that was New England's only beachfront amusement park.
Yeah, it's yeah,
Wow.
so it's pretty cool. And again, because like I mentioned before, I'm only, I'm pretty close to the coast. This is only about a half an hour from me, a half an hour drive. Actually, my in-laws every August they rent a condo at Old Orchard Beach, so it's very popular. It's a very popular destination, if you would. Um, so it was like perfect. And of course, with having a 4-year-old, I was like, well, I have to do that now.
Amazing. So lots of
Yeah.
questions about doing drone photography during fireworks. Were you concerned that maybe the drone could get hit?
So that is from me zooming in a little bit. I was actually with the drone. If you see here the backside of the park, I was like across the street from there actually taking the footage. I just yeah, there's a lot of videos of people with drones that take, of course, 4th of July firework photos and everything. And I see some, and yeah, they get too close for my comfort, at least. But yeah, I was across the street and I just zoomed in, so I figured that would be easier, and the angle would be better because I wanted to get the park, too, because it had neon lights on and everything in the dark. So I think it was pretty cool, and yeah, definitely a
Wow.
lot safer from being from that location.
Yeah. And I found it interesting. I didn't know what to expect when we first talked about um, you doing this project. I wondered if you would be above the fireworks or how it would be, but it looks like you're under them and from what it zoomed in, a safe
Yeah.
distance.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they only needed me to feature a couple of rides. They didn't need me to do like the roller coaster, for example. But I wanted it, so either for my portfolio or what. I mean, it's an awesome place, and my daughter hasn't seen it yet. Um, but I'm so excited to take her this weekend because she's gonna have a blast. So that's a day pass for her, so she can do whatever she wants, all day long. There's a lot of stuff to do. I mean, she can't do a whole lot. She's only 4, and she's not the tallest, which is fine.
Hmm.
She's a girl, but she can't do everything. Like she definitely can't go on that roller coaster. The only thing that not challenging, it was kind of nice that I didn't have to worry about trees or whatever. But I also don't want to get too close, to people. Obviously, you want to make out faces and everything like that because that's a whole separate thing. So
Hmm.
if you capture people, that you have to have them sign waivers and all that stuff. And I don't
Sure.
think the park wanted to deal with that either. So she told me not to get too close, but I was like, well, I'm not planning on getting too close anyways. Like I would much rather just go a little higher than I need to and zoom in if I have to. Like one of the rides, it's called the Kraken. It's the one that goes all the way like around. And I wasn't that close, but I didn't, because not every ride, like those little pirate ships, they don't go all the way upside down. So I was just like, thankfully, I did not go that close because that would have been, that thing was huge, so it definitely would have crashed that little drone. This was with the Mavic Mini 4, by the way. I love that.
Hmm. I will say this, you didn't need to get close because I feel the excitement and
No,
the fun from the park and looking at it like I want to be there based on your
yeah,
video. And if I
thanks.
didn't know that this was New England, I would think it's like coastal Florida. It
Yeah,
reminded me, I was in Clearwater Beach in November. Just I don't know what the reason was, but they were doing fireworks off the beach. I felt like I was looking there, and here we are in New England.
yeah,
But again, putting that tagline at the end, New England's only beachfront amusement park, had no idea. New England is
yeah,
huge,
yeah,
and I guess there's only certain areas where there's beach front.
yeah.
But yeah, well done. Just
Thank you.
super exciting and just the right amount
Thank
of
you.
time, like a minute. I got it,
Yeah,
you know.
I like usually like a minute for most things, like to keep, their viewers' attention and that kind of thing. I think for most of this stuff, I don't need more than a minute, really. Also, like the fireworks was actually only 10 minutes long. It was 15 minutes before, but after post COVID and everything, the cost went up. So for them, they said so it was only
Hmm.
10 minutes, and so kind of at the end of it, you know, I thought I saw the finale, but you know how sometimes like you don't want to leave too soon because you're like, well, what if I missed something? And then I looked at my phone because I didn't know that it was only 10 minutes. I was told 15. So I'm like, well, I don't want to take the drone down too, prematurely and miss something. But I saw people walking away, and I was just like, hey, is it over? Am
Wow.
I gonna miss something? But yeah, it was pretty cool. But luckily the mini has a 35, I think, minute battery, a 34, something like that. So because I was up there and I captured the entire thing. But yeah, I mean, 10 minutes, people get it. Everyone knows what fireworks are. So
Sure.
just like narrow it down to 1 minute, keep it kind of short and sweet and catchy and that kind of thing.
What do you, not to get too geeky here, and then we're going to pivot over to the real estate footage that you do. What do you use to edit?
So I use Final Cut Pro. I have a Mac. For my other job, I had a computer with it, but I actually took severance for it after about over 12 years, and I decided to go with this and bet on myself. And now of course, I'm happy with the decision, but it's family is important, so
Sure.
my little one, we have another one on the way. So being able to spend time with them, pretty much everything went into the reasoning why to go into something like this instead. But yeah, I mean, this is way cooler than I ever did at my previous job. So I'm already, happy with it.
Yeah. And the results are amazing. And you've been doing this not for a huge amount of time, but
No.
wow, even in the short amount of time, the stuff that you've shot so far. Show us the real estate stuff that you do.
All right, sure. All right, let me just share my screen, and then I got it pulled up right here.
Sure.
I'll make it a little larger. So I can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so I did a listing the other day actually and took photos. So I do real estate media, which means everything from like a floor plan to like videos, whatever. This client just wanted some photos, but the last one that I did was like an apartment building. This house was kept better. I mean, I basically just had to turn on the lights, really. These people were cleaning everything, but I love doing it. Like this, for example, the client, these were just like it's already existing listing, but it didn't have any drone footage. And I'm like, well, hello, like that's that's what I do. So let me
I'm
get
going to
in there.
say what the drone footage does in that shot right there, where, and I'm going to describe this for anybody that's listening and not watching. It's the house is surrounded by woods. So right away that says to me, oh, peace, quiet, serenity. Like I would have not known that if that was what I was looking for. I would have not known that until I saw that aerial shot. So, big sell there by just having, you do this footage and photos.
Yeah, I think so. And it's an opportunity. So I pretty much seize all opportunities. We had to go down to Pennsylvania on the 4th actually for a couple of days. This listing was on Sunday. We came back Saturday night. So my wife, and even when I told the real estate agent, she was like, "Oh, you're crazy for doing this." I'm like, "Well, no, it was it's an opportunity, and it turned out great, and I feel like this is gonna go really well for me." But it's like, well, I could have just said no, but how would that look? Like no one likes canceling and everything at the last minute. So we made it work. I mean, it wasn't the nice thing about real estate is most listings and everything is like the afternoon, so I had, plenty of time, and this was about an hour away from the house, but we made it, work. It's not from having a corporate job for a while, this like my dad's like, oh well, you're working on a Sunday, but that didn't really even feel like work to me. I
Sure.
mean, the client, excuse me, the homeowners left the air conditioner on, so it was nice for me. I actually got there before the real estate agent, so she said go in, and I offered to turn on the lights and everything like I always do. And that was kind of weird to be in someone else's house, like by myself. But I mean, yeah, editing, of course, that that's work. But that's another thing. You just get used to it. It's not really the first couple of times, like, oh, you're complaining, like, oh, I have to do this for like 3 hours. But that's just part of the job. It's not even a big deal, really.
Yeah, but it's, like you said before, it's not, it doesn't feel like work when it's this type of work, if you will. What do you use to edit your photos? I mean, pulling back the curtain here, the secret sauce. What? Because they look like real estate websites. Like when I say that, I mean like interior
Yes.
design photos. They pop, they're clean, they got, amazing HDR. What are you using to
I'm
edit?
I'm glad you think so. I use Final Cut Pro for everything.
Oh wow.
So the reason why I use that is because I was using Adobe Premiere before, but well, number one, it was like $40 for the whole package. It was like $40 a month. Final Cut Pro is like $300, but once you download it, you have it, which was good. But because, like I was saying before, I had a computer, work computer, but as soon as I left my job, I didn't have a computer at all. And then I actually had an Android for years. I really despised Apple, but for this, it made sense, like having a Mac, because my wife has a phone already. So if I have a photo, a video, I can just AirDrop it, and it integrates so much better with my phone and everything. So I was kicking my feet, for a while, but
Hmm.
I had to pull the plug. But now Final Cut Pro is, I think, so much easier to get used to, and they all do about the same. But between that and I was, telling her like I didn't have a digital camera, like I mentioned before 36. I don't know how to. I didn't edit anything before 36 years old too. So, but yeah, I'm glad you think. I appreciate it that you think it's professional. I
Yeah.
do too.
And do you use Final Cut Pro even for the photographs?
I do. Yes.
Wow, I didn't even know you
That
could.
yeah. That's there's a bunch of different other programs out there, but yeah, I do Final Cut. Sometimes you have to use a couple too, like Adobe. Well, I don't really use Adobe Premiere subscription, but you always, could if you had to. And then there's like Photoshop, obviously there's a lot of other ones, but Final Cut Pro is the one that I use. It seems like that's working pretty easily. Obviously, there's still more that I have to do, but yeah, it's definitely effective, and it seems to be, working. So I'm going to stick with it.
Mm, yeah. You're using it very effectively. And the photos are just so clean and bright, and that's what you want if you're looking, for real estate. But
So,
they don't look phony.
oh,
That's the important part.
they well, great. I'm glad you think so. So that there's a feature with real estate. It's called bracketing, where you take a photo, but you do the three different exposures. So, like you saw outside the window, that you can see that, but you can also see the interior. So the camera design, you can just turn that feature on, and it automatically, when you take a photo, takes two stops. That's what I have it set to two stops brighter than it should be, and then uh, in normal exposure, and then two stops lower, and then it's called HDR, like high dynamic range editing for the final picture, and it combines like all three, so you
Mm,
can really get those interior. Yeah, that's why it looks brighter, and you can
wow.
get the outdoors and the indoors versus just taking a regular photo. You'll get one or the other usually.
And that's the key, because there are some programs that artificially manipulate. This is just taking three photos, putting them on top of each other,
Yeah,
processing them
it's called
properly.
hand blending.
Yeah,
Yes,
but it's real. It's real.
yes,
That's the
yeah.
difference.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ah, what's your suggestion to real estate agents that might be thinking about this, upping their game, potentially hiring you to do that, maybe drone shots, video? Yeah, rules of thumb in terms of real estate photography.
So I was actually just talking to a real estate agent about this. We got some trees taken out by the pool. I don't know, 2 months ago ish. I would say, and the first guy I called, he was going to do the trees, but then I asked about stump grinding, and he was like, "Oh, I don't do that. So you have to ask, you have to get another person." And like, well, I didn't go with him because of that. Like, so kind of like this, the same thing. I know that they, I'm doing a one-stop shop for myself, of course, but also for them to make it like easier for them to be, to have everything. I'm trying to, customer service and all that, taking off my shoes when I get into the house, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. But overall, it's just like an easy process. So if anything, like, yes, I might be a little new to this, but I know what I'm doing. It's not, it's not not to downplay it, but it's not like rocket science. I could figure it out. But yeah, it's pretty much whatever you need. So like even for these photos, I had to explain on Instagram that yes, these photos are cool, but I don't do just photos. Like I want to do everything. But I also think that doing these videos and reels outside of real estate helps me, number one, to get exposure and that kind of thing. But they're very similar. Like, this is a drone, of course. I use a drone for that. But a lot of the other like ground shots that I take, they're still the same kind of like real estate tricks, if you would call them, like with angles and everything. So they're kind of like they're related, like one and the same. So I just think trying out a new person, just like everybody, everybody else, I think it's good. But I think the other stuff that I'm doing is giving me credibility because like
Sure.
Old Orchard Beach, like I said, they never had that. Um, and Hampton Beach, they've never had a video of the same sculptor in like the classic, excuse me, in about 24, this would be the 25th year coming up. They've never had that. So there's credibility like right there. And I think I think having a one-stop shop for pretty much anything, if what you're doing, but I try to know what I'm doing. Um, I feel like that is much better of an option for them for trying someone new. Like having a backup photographer is cool, but I have to remind them, yeah, well, what else? Like, what else do you need? So
Mm.
this agent was like, oh, I told her I do reels inside or outside of photography. Oh, you do? Would you do this and that? Could you do that? I'm like, yeah, like, something else. I'm like, yeah, I could do, of course, yeah, no problem.
It elevates it so much. And if it's a property that yeah, the agent is making a decent amount on, so worth it because right away, that's what I got from the drone footage, the photographs that house is such a secluded but wonderful location. And even so with the drone video, like I want to go to that amusement park just by looking at your video. And again, I
Yeah.
didn't even know there was a beachfront park in Maine and it being the only one in New England. How do we find you, Tim? What's the best way to connect with you?
So the best way, well, I mean, pretty responsive. You have to be, yes, right? But mileflyclubaerials.com is my website. But you can text me. I have Instagram, Facebook with the same tagline. But 603-303-0327 is my number. You can text me pretty much anytime. I I used to, well, with having a little one, I'm a morning person now, but with editing and stuff like that, the best time for it is the one nice thing about a little one and a pregnant wife is they go to bed kind of early. So that's like my time to shine, if you would, to get all this stuff
Sure.
done. So yeah, I'm up usually pretty late, it seems like, and I'm also up pretty early. So there's plenty of ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Thanks for showing the video. Great work on that. And looking forward next time we get a chance to get together.
Sounds great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.